With elestrals, Firestorm just releasing, I wanted to bring to you guys my top 5 cards in the set that I'm most excited for. So let's not waste any time. Let's jump right into it. Coming in at number 5, we have Dradoodle, Champion of Hermes. Dradoodle is a very unique card that uses the underworld as a resource like no other deck has. Dradoodle reads, when a Cockadoodle is sent to your underworld, you can special cast this Dradoodle from your underworld with Wind. You may only play one Dradoodle this way each turn. This Dradoodle gets +2 attack for each suppressed card on the field. So when this card is in your underworld and a Cockadoodle is sent to your underworld, you just special cast this guy. So I guess the big question is, how easy is it to get Dradoodle to your underworld? Well, turns out extremely. Hermes is a divine rune that lets you disenchant 2 wind spirits from it to send a wind elestral to the underworld, and that includes Dradoodle. Then the only other part you need is a Cockadoodle. Luckily, there's 2 different Cockadoodles in the game. There's your regular Cockadoodle and Cockadoodle Champion of Hermes. Now, Cockadoodle Champion of Hermes is better for turbo casting your Dradoodle, simply because when it leaves the field, it suppresses. So if you suppress an Elestral when you leave the field to then cast your Dradoodle, which gets +2 attack for each suppressed Elestral, you're now special casting an 8 attack, 2 defense Dradoodle. This combo becomes very repeatable. Every time that a Cockadoodle is destroyed or sent to the underworld, you can just bring out your Dradoodle again. Also, Wind is in a great spot due to having Hurricane access pretty easily to stop back row and being able to splash in the next entry on this list very easily. The next entry on this list is Chrysaor, Champion of Aeolus. This is another card that I'm sure everybody expected to be on this list, but I'm just too excited to not include it. Chrysaor, Champion of Aeolus is in a very unique wind elestral that has some of the fastest turbo potential in the game. The way this 2-drop elestral can turbo onto the field is through its pre-ascension Soarlet, Champion of Aeolus. Soarlet, Champion of Aeolus reads, when this Soarlet destroys an Elestral in battle, you can search your deck for an Aeolus or a Champion of Aeolus and add it to your hand. So if your Soarlet destroys an Elestral, you get to search Chrysaor. But how does that begin the turbo? Well, Chrysaor reads, this Chrysaor in your hand can special ascend from your Soarlet with Wind during your battle phase if that Soarlet destroyed an Elestral in battle this turn. This wording is very non-specific. What I mean by that is that this Chrysaor is able to ascend at any point in the battle phase if a Soarlet destroys an opposing Elestral. For example, if you have 2 Soarlet on board and your opponent has a Lycavoid and 2 Werepups, you can attack the Werepup with both Soarlet, then ascend either Soarlet before ending your battle phase. The important difference is that this is a can effect and not a when effect. If Soarlet read something like, this Chrysaor in your hand can ascend from your Soarlet when it destroys an Elestral, it would take a whole separate turn or attack to get the ascension. For example, the Soarlet would have to attack to destroy the Elestral. You then search the Chrysaor. Then it would have to attack to destroy another Elestral in order to proc the Chrysaor effect. But because the way it's worded, you can do it at any point in your battle phase as long as a destruction has happened and your Soarlet is the one that caused the destruction. Because of the flexibility in turboing, this allows for many different ways for this Chrysaor to become available. Because if you have a Chrysaor Champion of Aeolus in your hand and you have 2 base set Soarlets on the field, if those Soarlets each attack and each destroy, you can ascend the Champion of Aeolus Chrysaor over the base Soarlet. The next card on this list is a little unexpected, but coming in at number 3, we have Plucky, Champion of Apollo. Plucky, Champion of Apollo reads, when you normal cast this Plucky, you can search your deck for a Lyre of Apollo and add it to your hand. When you cast a solar rune, you can return a solar from your underworld to your spirit deck. So the big portion of this card that I'm excited for is searching for Lyre of Apollo. Then what does Lyre of Apollo do? Lyre of Apollo is an artifact rune, and for anybody who is more familiar with other card games, that is similar to an equip spell. Lyre of Apollo reads, the empowered elestrals attack and defense are swapped. All of your champion of Apollo get +2 attack and +2 defense. So by casting Plucky, you're able to then search your deck for Lyre, which instantly turns Plucky into a 5 attack, 3 defense. A 5 attack and 3 defense is a very good stat line for a 1-drop. For reference, Eddie was seen as one of the best elestrals in the previous format because it was a 4 attacker. Granted, Eddie also had a really good ability, but you get the point. The numbers are still good. The other crucial thing about Plucky that I think is a lot of fun is that Plucky actually benefits if there are other elestrals on the field, and it helps those other elestrals. What I mean by that is because you're searching for a Lyre of Apollo and you're able to cast multiple of them, you're able to put a Lyre of Apollo on different elestrals and the stat buffs stack. So if you have out 2 Lyre of Apollos on 2 different elestrals, we'll say a Plucky, for example, and a Soul Bell, Champion of Apollo, you would then have a 7/5 Plucky and an 8/5 Soul Bell, Champion of Apollo. Because these stats can stack so quickly, it becomes very powerful, and it makes it difficult for some smaller elestrals to get over them unless you can take out the artifact with something like a shield or a thunderstorm. Because the stat lines can just get so incredibly fun with these decks, I'm very excited for Plucky. The next card on this list is going to be Warmite, Champion of Hestia. Spiders is obviously a deck that everyone has been talking about. However, this spider is the lifeblood of the deck. Warmite reads, when this Warmite receives 1 or more fire, you can target an elestral and give it -3 attack until the next turn. When a player casts Hestia's Hearth, you can return up to 2 fire from your underworld to your spirit deck. So since the card mentions Hestia's Hearth, what does Hestia's Hearth do? Hestia's Hearth reads, enchant a fire from your underworld to a card on your field. Then, if that card was Hestia or a champion of Hestia, you may enchant an additional fire from your underworld to it. Warmite's effect essentially means that whenever this card receives a fire, it allows Warmite to lower the attack of an elestral on the opponent's field. With only 3 attack, how much does that matter? Well, pairing it with Hestia's Hearth, it actually matters a lot. Because with Hestia's Hearth, you're enchanting 1 for the cast. That's -3. You activate Hestia's Hearth. You get to enchant 1 from the underworld. That is now -6. You now get to enchant an additional 1 from the underworld, and that is -9 attack. This Warmite, Champion of Hestia, is now able to crash with elestrals that have 12 attack. On top of that, this is able to even get bigger whenever you pair it with the rest of the cards that benefit from also being a might in the deck. For example, you have Arachne's Lair. This card allows you to draw a card anytime you play a might or acne card. In simple terms, that's a spider. So anytime you play a spider, you get to draw a card. You also have Kite Might. Kite Might is a very good card in this deck. If you open up with a Kite Might in your hand but no other spiders, you're able to play your Kite Might, disenchant off your Kite Might in order to special cast any spider from your deck. So a Kite Might just magically turns into a Warmite. On top of that, with Hestia herself, you're able to use the Divine of this deck in order to special cast an additional spider to be able to draw an additional card. Now granted, this is a 3-card combo, but it is still possible. If you open up with a Kite Might, Arachne's Lair, and a Hestia in your hand with another spider, you're able to play Arachne's Lair. Then you're able to play Hestia. You're then able to use Hestia's effect to disenchant 2 in order to special cast the Warmite that you have in your hand. Now that you have 1 Elestral on field, you're able to draw a card off of Arachne's lair. Since you have not used your normal cast for the turn, you're able to now normal cast your Kitemite. Now that you have cast your Kitemite, you can draw another card with Arachne's lair. Now you're able to disenchant one from your Kitemite in order to search your deck for another spider to special cast it from your deck, which in turn allows you to draw a third card. So how likely is it that you'll have all of these cards in your hand? Not very. But is it possible? Definitely. Especially if you play cards like Nectar of the Gods to allow you to draw into your deck. Ultimately, the deck has a lot of draw power and a lot of stat modifications that I think are really fun. And coming in at number 1 as the top card that I am the most excited for, we have Globby, Champion of Poseidon. I'm sure a lot of people expected this to be like a Void, but I'm much more excited for my boy Globby. Globby is an extremely unique Elestral because its stats aren't its actual stats. Globby reads, when you cast this Globby, you can search your deck for an Atlantis or a Rise from the Depths and add it to your hand. Rise from the Depths is a stadium rune that gives all of your water enchantments a +1 attack and defense. Because Globby is a 2 cost, it will naturally be a 7/10 if you search for Atlantis. However, if you've already played Atlantis and you're getting a Rise from the Depths, that is where this card really shines. Whatever you used to ascend into your Globby, you're able to just bring it right back with Rise from the Depths. Rise from the Depths says that if Atlantis is enchanted, you're able to special cast a 1-cost water Elestral from your underworld. In a lot of decks, bringing back a 1-cost Elestral from your underworld isn't that big of a deal. This is because most of the other elements don't have generically good cards. However, water is the exact opposite. Water has some of the best generic Elestrals in the game. The biggest examples of that are Galaxy, Champion of Poseidon Galaxy, Eddy, and Sluggle. Both Galaxy, when you cast them, swap Elestral stats. The main difference is that Galaxy Champion of Poseidon reads, when this Galaxy receives 1 or more water, you can swap each Elestral's attack with its defense until the next turn. So base Galaxy is permanent, Champion Galaxy is just for the turn. However, this now turns your Globby into a 10/7 instead of a 7/10. The main reason I'm excited for this card the most is because in the late game, this can even play around back row pretty well. If your opponent shields, there's a chance that you have a Rise from the Depths in your hand. So the following turn, if you Rise from the Depths to get back a Galaxy or a Galaxy Champion of Poseidon or a Sluggle, you can then ascend right over for your normal cast and search for another Rise from the Depths from your deck to bring back your Galaxy. On top of that, the water Elestrals that go alongside of this in Galaxy and Galaxy Champion of Poseidon are very strong, so you're able to hit through most Elestrals with just your whales, meaning even if they shield your Globby, they still have to deal with massive attackers in Galaxy. So that is my top 5 list of cards that I'm most excited to use in Firestorm. The 5th set in Elestrals. I absolutely love this set and I hope you guys too. Make sure you guys leave a comment letting me know what card you're most excited for, because I gotta tell you, Globby is looking like my guy. But with that, make sure you guys leave a like, leave a comment, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.